So you guys were one. I'm hearing a lot of you guys. You guys wanted a theme song shortened, so here we go. This girl reviews movies, games, and books. Sometimes she plays them. So does that. And when she does it with the cat, does that make her crazy? Does that make her crazy? Probably. So it's shorter. There you go. Crazycatlady or Martha Butler does not own any trailers or pictures. I use them under fair use, educational, for education and entertainment purpose. Hi everybody, Martha here. So, let's go and done this lean slash reading. Happs, the second story, and number two, Tales of the Plzzaplex story. So this was not. Hopefully the next one's better. It's mostly just because it was a lot of the same words were described during the end of it. So it's about two boys named Aiden and Jace, who I think are who are in high school or middle school. It's not really we just know they're older because they do scare some little kids in it. But they're at a Freddy's Fazbear Pizzaplex, and they're inside of those tubes that they have over like they have at Chuck E. Cheese, and they're playing. They're not exactly popular at the school they go to, because there's some kids who teases Aiden because he's one of the smart kids out there. And he tried out for the talent show in the past and got a black eye from somebody. But while they're in the maze, they do tease three kids. They scare three kids while they're in there. And the way they, if you guys remember the game, there is these robots who jump scare you in the game that don't kill you. They're like they had like a lot of different jobs there. They had the mopping job. They have security. They take care of finding you. Mostly they make the game really hard to do because the parts I didn't beat the game, but as far as I got when I was hiding from like Roxy, um, the crocodile, and Chica. When I was hiding from those guys, the ones that were mostly hard to get away from is these guys, because they're like, even though they don't kill you like those three do, it's hard to keep away from these ones because they're all over the place. There's usually like most of the time three in the room, if not more. But they mostly like I said, they give you security maps, and they find you and they mop around the area. When they're mopping, you get too close to them, they alert one of the whoever's in charge of that room to you. That like they come out of nowhere. So mostly that's what we're in this book. Their job is to make sure you don't get lost. Because I guess if you remember back when I've done this before. My little brother, we haven't been to Chuck E. Cheese in like forever, but since I'm one of the younger older sisters, last time we went to Chuck E. Cheese back when he was little, he was in the tubes, and it was time for us to go. And I went to go up there and get him. And the way they stop for people who have a hard time doing it, because I was in a 16-year-old trying to get him down, and the time. And instead of making a teenager or an adult go up there and get their parents, or having an employee go up there and get their kids, they have a robot go up there and get them. And that's what these clear bots from the games do. And they're in this version they're called happs. And um, Jace and Aiden, instead of listening to the dumb robot, instead of listening to the robot, they were playing with a wall area where where you're not supposed to go, and try to figure a way to open it. Eventually, at the end of the story, trying to find things to do in the maze area, and they beat up the robot because it keeps on grabbing them and telling them you are lost, basically. And they're saying no, we're not lost, which yes they are. They're not in it. They're near an area they should not be. So technically, they are lost. And then they tear the robot up. And while they're tearing the robot off, they actually knock down the wall that they're trying to get into. But now they're stuck. All three of them are stuck. I'm counting the robot because what happens later on with happs. And I think that's the reason why, like the sign, like what's on the cover here is like this. It's supposed to be happs. And so, eventually, Haps gets up once the boys realize, or trying to run their way out. They one of them has an army knife, and tries to get them out that way by using the knife. And it's like a two-way mirror. If you kind of ask me, it could have been a way that maybe William Afton maybe looked down and watched the kids play and picked out which one he was going to murder. Maybe that's what he could have used it for. Maybe that's one thing that maybe is because nobody can see. They can't see you, but the people inside them can see them because it's only the people inside that part of the maze that's blocked off can see. So Aiden and Jace could see what all the people down there because that's when they're describing like everybody's down there below them who doesn't even notice they're up there trapped inside. And this is when the boring part happens, basically, because because they're describing all the tubes that they're in, basically the whole entire story. But poor Jace. I know these guys weren't exactly nice to the robot, but Jace pretty much gets decapitated. Both his arms come off, and we don't know. It's like, let me read the last lines for you that happens to Aiden. If Haps hadn't been a living, breathing creature, Aiden was sure that he has been able to feel Haps breathing behind him. As it was, Aiden kept expecting to feel Haps' jaws, metal pierce slide into his foot, and at any moment. For some reason, Aiden was back in his body again. The muscles in his legs were not, and he felt like weird, as if they were colored up and drenched in Hap's saving aid limbs. Aiden tried to ignore everything he felt. He knew that if he thought about it, it would happen. Haps would reach him, and he wouldn't have the strength to keep crawling. And he had to reach the other foot shot, just as his body instinct had returned. Aiden already chose and came into a line too. He had once again heard his heavy breaths. He also heard the rhyming tubing of his knees against the two plastics. And, of course, he had heard Haps clicking, rubbing against the ards. It's closer and closer. Just a few more seconds, Aiden thought. The shoot was right around the corner, but it wasn't. When Aiden spread towards where he expected off to the offshoot to be, his heart pounded into the gut. The offshoot wasn't open anymore, like the other one. It was covered up by a safety barrier. Aiden was trapped, and Hess was getting closer. Out with me! Hess ordered him, and the robot crept his voice way too loud. Even it was too close. Hayden couldn't look back to see just how close Haps was. He didn't want to know. It was given no choice. Aiden tossed past the blocking the offshoot an instant to keep going, but Aiden knew his light from Epps was now with off blocked, and Aiden was turn it off the with an offshoot block. Aiden was caught in a closed off loop. All he could do is go around in circles. Hess was constantly impured in activating security barriers all along. Aiden was been secured and haps like an animal into a closing zone. He had nowhere to go, but still he kept crawling. As Aiden crawled, he couldn't allow himself to think anymore. If he thought, he had to ask himself the question he didn't want to ask. How long could he stay ahead of Apps? How long could it have been before Apps controlled the passage through the loop's pipe and could damage it enough to proceed and off more? How long would it have been before Aiden died? The same way that Jace had. Aiden had crawled through the pipes, and he couldn't help but see the kids beyond the pipes walls, plastic pipe walls, and he realized he had guys wished he was invisible. Yeah, he wanted nothing but nobody else to know him. Now nobody does actually know him. I mean, it doesn't say that he actually dies in the story, but he's gonna, okay? Eventually, since there's no way out for him to get out that he knows of, he's nobody can see him. Nobody knows he's there. So it is pretty horrific, but the fact that it's just them stuck in tubes the whole entire time, it's basically a lot of the same words over and over again. So so far out of the 5 stories that I've heard, unless you can, I would say this one's not the most exciting out of the new form of these stories. So, yep, I've not read B7 yet, and I don't even know what's in it. I don't read leaks. I try my best to, when I read a book, not to have any spoilers happening, because I like to go in with a blank mind and everything. So I know they're out there, but I don't want to look it up. But I don't. So I would say it's fine, but so far out of the 5 I've read, it's probably the worst one because it's probably the most boring one. Even though I did not like the last story, like the one in the first books, I did not like the one that had mentioned cancer. That one I did not like because it was too disturbing for my take. This one is just probably boring. So it's too disturbing for my take or boring. Which one would you rather read? So anyway, probably gonna give this one a a 6 out of 10. It's worth checking out if you want to. Like some parts are good. So, but just be warned, you're gonna hear the word pipes a lot in it. So yeah. So hope you guys enjoyed this review. Next thing I'm probably gonna do with that's book related is B7. Probably sometime next week. So, because I have not even looked at it yet, that part of the book yet. So, I'll see you guys later. Like, favorite, and subscribe. And bye bye.